Hi, I'm Joe Platia. Thank you for choosing my advanced airbrush techniques video. In this video we're going to begin with it's basically a fantasy look. So this is basically a photo styling look we're going to create. It's a relatively simple process. I just kind of want to open your eyes a bit to some of the different techniques we use to create some of these looks. I'd strongly advise that you did take a basic airbrush course that we offer on our site. We're going to begin by applying a matte white, and basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to prime the eyes. We're going to have to go in here later and work on these later on, so I just want to prime these. This will actually keep some of the liquid airbrush makeup from sticking to it. So I'm just going to prime underneath the eye completely, because I'm generally not going to airbrush that close to the eye when the eyes are open. So I'm going to go down here and I just want to prime all this with just a flat white. And we're going to go in, we're going to repeat the process on the other side. Now when you're airbrushing, you want to airbrush at a lower pressure. You want to basically do about, I would say, anywhere between 5 to 15 pounds of pressure. When in the eye area, you can see that your model's going to be jumping quite a bit. And what I'm doing here is I'm just slowly going to start adding white to her face here. And real slow. And you want to do this in layers. If you lay it on too heavy, what's going to happen is you're going to get bleeding, and it's going to end up starting to wrinkle up on you. I'm going to move this back here a bit. So I'm just going through here and I'm just going to slowly build this white up. One of the probably biggest drawbacks I find with airbrushable makeup is it tends to be a little bit thicker and it has a tendency to clog your airbrush a bit. If you've taken my basic airbrush course, you know, first off, you definitely want to be using a double action airbrush. And I'm just going to go through here and I'm just going to slowly, we're basically going to completely white out her face. So I'm just going to try to get as close to that hairline as I can without actually trying to hit the hair. Now again, airbrushable makeup is really simple to get off. Soap and water will take it right off. So don't worry about getting it in their hair. If they do have blonde hair and you're using like red tones, you can actually stain their hair, so be very careful. If you're working with a blonde, it's probably advised that you would either block that off with a tissue or something while you're airbrushing to make sure that hair isn't touched by that cosmetic while it's wet. Now I'm just going through here. You see I just got a spurt, and this is one of the common things that happens with airbrushing when you're using a thicker product. You'll get some clogging when it finally breaks free. This is what you get as a big spurt. In this case, I'm not particularly concerned about it, but normally I would go in and I would probably actually just wipe that off and start again. Not the whole look, but just that particular area. Now when you're working around the nose area, what you want to do is you want to have your model hold their breath, and I have them actually, you'll see shortly here, I'll have them take a deep breath and exhale through their nose as I'm working around the nose area. So basically right now all I'm doing is just really going in to fill this with white. Relatively simple. The actual whole process, just to white it out, provided you're not having clogging issues, which in this case I am. Generally, just to white out the face, we're looking at maybe about 3 minutes of work. That's about it. So I'm just whiting this out here. Now I'm not hitting the eyes, if you're noticing that. The reason why is, you know, they're going to be scrunching their face quite a bit, which means they're going to be wrinkling up that cosmetic. So I generally don't do the eyes until last. So I'm just going through here, whiting this out. Yeah, airbrushing can be a little, it's probably one of the simplest things to do. I mean, if you can see through it, you can spray through it, you can create a pattern with it. But one of the biggest drawbacks of airbrushing is, again, the clogging. That's usually what's one of the biggest holdups with airbrushing. Okay, now I'm going to work into the neck area here. And in this case, my airbrush is actually functioning here. You can see I'm actually able to spray quite quickly. You have them lift their neck so you can really get under the neck there. You don't have any blank spots. This is going to be a really busy look, so I'm not overly concerned about a perfect foundation. Again, I basically want to show you some different tricks I've used, working with some different stencils and textures. So this will be a really eye-opening if you've never done this before. Okay, we're going to begin by applying my first stencil. And this is actually just a sun stencil that you can get at pretty much any store, craft store, etc. This is actually just a wall decoration, wall stencil. So I'm going to go through here with black airbrushable cosmetic, and I'm just going to just kind of do whatever I feel like doing. There's really, with airbrushable makeup, especially fantasy makeup, there really is no rules to it, because even if you mess up your look, the only one who knows it is you. So now I'm going to take a rose pattern, and I'm going to lay this right across her nose. Now always remember to airbrush directly at your model, or at your stencil. So if you're shooting from the left side, make sure you're shooting straight at the stencil. Don't shoot from the angles, because what will happen is you'll actually shoot underneath those stencil lines, and it'll just look like basically like a big ink blotch. So I'm just going in here and I'm just detailing some of these flower patterns. Okay, and try not to push too hard with your fingers. You just gently want to hold the stencil down, but if you push too hard, you could actually end up pulling the makeup off. So the heat from your fingers will actually soften that makeup, so try not to put too much pressure when you're holding a stencil to your model. Just very gently. Try to find the right angle. I mean, especially when you're working around something that's three-dimensional, it's a little tricky getting stencils to lay it flat on the model. So you just have to work in small layers, and don't let your stencil shift at all. You want to keep one or two fingers stationary so that stencil can't move, and then you keep your center finger so you can move it around and kind of flatten out that stencil in the areas you want to spray. So you can see here you have a pretty crisp design. Now I'm just going to take another portion of that stencil, and I'm going to lay that flat on her face, and I'm just going to go again and just detail some more of this. Again, I don't have any particular thought in mind what I'm doing here. I'm just literally just being creative and just throwing down some patterns down on the face. And I'm basically just going to go through here and I'm just going to fill all these areas with the stencil, just using different sections of the stencil. And it's important too when you're working in stencils, if you're going to use the same area of the stencil right away, make sure you wipe off that stencil as well. Otherwise you're going to get a transfer of that overspray onto the face. I'm going to lay this down on the chin here. And you can see there on the lower portion of the stencil that's still moist, but I won't allow that to touch the face. And you see how quickly I'm running through this. There's really nothing to it. Airbrushing is all about your stenciling. The more detailed your stencils are, the faster you can airbrush. And that's about prep work. So, okay, now I'm going to take a piece of lace, something I just found at a craft store. And I just bought a yard of it, and I'm literally, anything you can see through is a potential stencil. So now I'm just going to run through here, and I'm just going to just blast this. And it's going to go right through that lace, and it's a really neat, simple effect, but at the same time, the finished product looks so technical, like you spent, you know, an hour detailing this work, when actually it was probably one of the simplest parts of the process. You know, I'm just running through here, blasting through the stencil. Now I think in this case this was actually a almost like a curtaining decoration, and you see there, look at the detail on that, and people are just blown away by it, but yet it was so simple. Now this is just a honeycomb. I had actually received a gift once, and this was actually part of the gift wrapping, and I just thought it would be the coolest stencil. So it's just a honeycomb, and I just go through and throw some little details here and there, just kind of fill up the look itself. And it's going to add a little here on the other side. Add a little bit here on the side of the eye. Really simple, but you see how now it's coming together. You're filling up the face. It's becoming like a complete effect. It's just a really simple process. Like I said, there's really not much to airbrushing. Again, it's some of the looks you see might seem like they must have been the most technical looks you've ever seen, and literally there's nothing to them. It's just a matter of being creative and learning to see just general things for what they actually are. If you could see through them, you can spray through them, it's a potential stencil. I'm just going to fill the top there. Okay, next I'm going to detail her eyebrows. So I actually just have a couple little angled stencils I had cut, And I'm just going to try to lay that right on the face there. Now the tricky part is getting this even on the other side. Now this is where it gets a little technical, is because you have to eyeball with the stencil exactly where the stencil lies, and hope that you're getting it like even with the other. So you just want to take a good look at her and try to line that stencil up. And you'll see I'll pull that off several times, trying to make sure I'm trying to get it just by eyeballing it where exactly we're even. Let's go through here. Spray that. And that's pretty close. Again, the look's going to be so busy, though I'm not overly concerned about it being perfect. Now here on the eyes, this is we went over this in our basic airbrush course. I'm just going to hold this stencil here just to get a nice crisp line on the outside of the eye and just kind of fill into that crease area a bit. And I'm just going to add a couple extra little detail lines here. I'm just using a straight edge. You can use this plain old piece of paper, it doesn't matter. I'm just going to do the same on the other side here. I'm just going to fill that in the outer corner into the crease a bit. I'm just going to mimic the other side. You see I'm using the dry section of the plastic here. Okay. And you can see it's a pretty proportionate look. And again, I'm just freehanding this. This isn't anything that's really overly planned. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in here and add some hand detail. So I'm just using some of that black makeup, that liquid makeup, and I'm just going to go in here and detail this a bit. Now it's going to seem a little bit darker than the rest because I didn't cut this at all with water. So I'm just going through here, and like I said, it looks a little darker than the airbrush portion, but that's generally what I wanted. I wanted a kind of a washed out airbrush technique, so this way I can go in and hand detail this. Kind of give it a little bit more of an artistic flair. And I'm just going to run through this whole look, and I'm just going to detail all this little, no particular places, just here and there, just to add a little depth to this. Now again, this is going to be a photo styling look, so I need some contrast in this look. Otherwise, when the photograph is actually taken, the flash or the studio lighting is actually going to end up washing some of this out. So you definitely want some dark to lights. You don't want it to be too subtle. You need some definite contrast in these looks. That's why I like to go and hand detail some of these things. Again, nothing has to be perfect. The lines don't have to be perfect. You might see little stray brush marks here and there. It doesn't matter. Especially with a look like this, it's going to be such a busy look that it really, no one would ever notice. Just going through here, detailing. And I'm just going to detail the top here. Again, just adding a bit of contrast, and you can see how, like, little by little the look itself is starting to pop. Now I'm going to go through with white. And same thing, using white airbrushable makeup, I'm just going to go through here. This isn't toned down at all. This is there's no water added to this. It's just a straight product. And I'm just going to go through here and just add little details here and there. Like I said, there doesn't have to be rules to doing artwork. You basically just do what you feel like doing. Anywhere you feel like putting a color, you feel like there's a dull area in the look, just add a little detail to it. And again, a very simple process. Just going through, just adding little markings here and there. Again, just to add a little bit more contrast to it. And do the same up top here. I'm just going to detail this a bit. This is very tricky doing this. I'm actually having difficulty keeping out of the way of the camera, so you can see. And most of you who have taken any of my makeup courses know that most of the time I'm not actually standing in front of what I'm doing. I'm actually looking at a monitor here, so I'm not blocking your view, which, by the way, is probably one of the trickiest things about doing our website. Now again, you can see how this white and the black details are really adding a lot of depth to this look. Now I'm going to go through with a jet black liner. That's right, jet black liner. This is an eyeliner, and I'm actually going to line her lips here. Again, a little tricky to see what I'm doing here. I'm not actually standing in front of the camera or standing in front of my model, so it's a little tough. I just try to keep it so you can see. The line's a little crooked here. Okay, what we're going to do is we're actually going to blend our own gloss. I'm just going to use a clear gloss, and you can see here I have a loose shimmery silver. So I'm going to take that and blend that silver with my clear gloss. I'm going to make a really thick, pasty lip gloss, which is just a straight silver. I'm going to blend it into that black. And you can see it's very thick, and that's exactly what I want for our next little technique. Laying it on really heavy. And don't blend it out, and don't tell your model, or if you're doing it on yourself, don't blend this in. Don't let them work it in with them. Don't let them work their lips in. You want this really thick, because we're going to actually be applying jewels to this. And I need that stickiness of that gloss to actually hold those jewels in place for the photograph. And again, my lips are a little crooked there. Not overly concerned, because quite frankly you're not going to see them. That gloss is mainly just there as a base. And I'm just going to start taking jewels here and just start sticking them to that gloss. You can see little by little I'm just adding them, adding different sizes and shapes. Just placing them on the lip. Very simple. There's nothing to it. It's just more of a tedious thing than anything. Again, I'm going for something just odd, and but unique, and something like for film will look really, really cool on film. I'm just going to keep adding them, and just fill both the upper and lower lips with jewels. I'm not gluing them. I'm literally just sticking into that gloss. Now on the skin here, I'm actually applying eyelash glue. And I'm just going to put little dots here, and I'm going to actually put jewels up there. Now on the lips it'll stick to the gloss, but on the head I have to use some sort of glue, especially if the model's posing, there's a good chance it's going to fall off. So I need some sort of glue, so I'm going to let that set for a second, then I'm just going to go ahead and apply these jewels right to those areas where I applied the glue. Again, very simple. This is literally just be as creative as you want. There are no rules. And I'm just kind of doing whatever I feel like doing here. Like I said, this isn't a planned look. I literally just grab something and say, okay, let's do this. Let's try this one. Let's try this one. Airbrushing is a lot of fun because, like I said, there are no rules to it. And like I said before, if you can see through it, you can spray through it, which means you can come up with some really neat stencils. I'm just going to work those all the way across. Having problems getting my fingers on this last jewel here. And there we go. Okay, next I'm going to go on with a product called Blue Sky, which is a loose shimmery eyeshadow. It's a loose pigment. Now I'm just going to really lay that on heavy. Now on airbrushable makeup, eyeshadows generally do not want to stick. So you really, more than anything, don't bother trying to rub it on. You actually just want to blot it. So you have to use quite a bit of product. just going to go through here and detail all these little leaves of the roses, the petals. I'm just adding little details. And again, I'm just adding more and more depth to the look itself. Again, no rules, just put it wherever you feel like putting it. If there looks like there's a boring or a dull area in the look, add a little color to it. Just add a little here to the eyes. You can see also, normally under most of the looks, you'll see here I did not airbrush their ears. In most cases, I will actually just, I will airbrush the ears, but not into the ear canal. I'll actually aim straight toward the back of the ear. In this case, I did not do it. I just didn't feel like it was necessary. But generally, you want to make sure you don't shoot that into the ear. You actually just want to maybe use even like a loose eyeshadow just to cover that ear, to tone up that ear. I'm just going to add a little more color here. Alright, next I'm adding a color called Aquamarine, which is it's almost just a mild, well, it's an aquamarine tone. It's a greener tone of blue. And I'm just adding it here and there, literally just jumping all over the place here, just adding a little bit more depth to it. Kind of getting a bit of an iridescent look to it. And again, I'm just adding here and there, a little bit here, a little bit there. And now I'm going to go through here on the lower lid here, and I'm actually just going to fill this with jet black eyeshadow. I just want to fill this in. I'm just going to basically fill that in with any flesh tones I see. I want to go in and fill that in. And I'm just going to detail the eyes just a tad bit more here. Just the outer corners, kind of give this a little bit of a softer look. Now I'm going to go in with jet black liquid liner. I just want to detail the eyes here a bit. Lower lid, I did the same thing. I lined from corner to corner. Now I'm going to line the inside of the eye with jet black liner. You want to work that down into the lower lashes. And then you have your finished look. It was literally that simple. There's nothing to it. I added black mascara to complete the look of the eyes, just to cover up any shimmer or product that may have fallen on it. But in general, this is a really simple look. Like I said, if you could see through it, you can spray through it. Now this is a photo styling look, so then once we actually did the finished look and added some lighting effects, you can see we have a really cool, unique photo styling look. And what you see is what you got. The picture itself was not touched up, just lighting, effects lighting was added. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me at themakeupinstructor.com. I always enjoy getting your emails. I love your input, and I look forward to hearing from you. I hope you enjoyed the video, and look forward to helping you in the future.